Hello, this is Lolly, and I'm here to show you a design team project for Antivirus Scrap and Craft using the November kit. And it's an excellent kit with beautiful papers if you can get a hold of it while it's still available. I will give you in the links under the in the video description under this video to her website, her blog, etc. So what I want to show you is that one day when I was at Michael's, I found in the clearance section this little book here with it was all just envelopes. I thought that was really cute. It was broken, it was damaged, and it was in a damaged container. It looked like someone had bought it and it broke and they returned it, and so it was in clearance instead of just getting rid of it. And I couldn't figure out what it was, who sold it, or anything. I have tried to repair it, but it's not even holding. It's just the the construction is flawed. As soon as you open this, it just tears right off the spine. So even E6000 won't hold it because the E6000 just rips the paper off the paper. So it was a nice idea, but it doesn't work. And then after I bought it and got it home, was playing with it, I did see in the end, in the very back, it does say Heidi Swap. So don't know what it is, but it is something of hers. And then after this, I was going through, and it's got a big tear in here too. It's just a flaw in the fabric. I was going through, anyway, I was going to the thrift store, and I found the same thing, same construction, same everything, but it was very vintage, like 70s era. And this was a photo sleeve instead of a pocket, but measurements, construction, everything was identical. So I guess it wasn't even her idea. I don't know. So I took the idea, ran with it, made it my own, changed the construction, changed the dimensions, etc. So this is what it is, and I'm calling it a pocket journal. And I made mine with holes here. Instead of trying to glue that spine together, which was the big problem, I did holes here, and it's just tied with ribbon, so I could take it apart, remove any damaged envelopes, I could reinsert more, I could add to it. So it's very flexible that way. I love it. And if you want to see how to make this, stay tuned. Otherwise, you can just watch the flip through and the video at that point. Also, for the first time, I think what I'm going to try and do is in the description under the video. On this video, I'm going to write down the times that everything starts, like the time that you will find the actual covers instruction, the time that you will actually find the envelope construction. That way, if you come back later and want to see again, rewatch just a certain segment, you can. So this is it, and this is using the Julie Nutting, it's paper doll collection. This was in the kit, this feather, and so was this flower, and so was this here. And this paper was in the collection, so was the ribbon. Now this coral color cardstock was from my stock. And also these dots are from the kit as well, Santoro Pearl Drops. Okay, so I'll open that up and show you how it is. These are envelopes, and they're clasp envelopes. And so you could put letters, cards, ephemera, memorabilia in there. You could give this to a friend and put a letter in there. It would be so cute. Or she could use it to put letters that she received from you, whatever. Anyway, there's 8 pockets, but you can put however many you want in there. Now, in the instructions, I told you that I made my cover too big, and I gave you the instructions for what I called the correct length of the cover. But if you would like to do what I did and add lace to the end, I would say go ahead and keep this piece of the cover as long as it is. And this one is 6 7/8 for this section right here. And like I said, that way you have room to do the laces. So this is it. You'll see that the back, that's double-sided cardstock. It's very cute. And I'm loving that I added all those crochet laces to it because it just adds dimension. I think it really perks it up and gives it a beautiful look. I've glued them all on the back side. And you could do, you could embellish all these envelopes, totally up to you. That's the project. Stay tuned, and we will begin the tutorials now. So the envelopes, it's actually 2 pieces of paper. This back one here, that's the back and goes over for the flap, and then the front of the envelope, which is this piece right here, and just folds over and glues onto the back. So this is the back and this is the front. So you need to pick your paper and decide what is going to be the front. It is double-sided paper, and I have one already like this, and I want to do one with this on the cover now. So this is going to be the back piece, And so when you have a pattern that has, like this has writing on it, you need to make sure the flap, so it's backwards here, the writing is upside down, but when the flap comes down, the writing is vertical, so, or it's right side up. This does not have any writing on the back, so it's not going to matter which is going to be what the flap is. But these, I like these to be shaped this way. So I am going to round these corners up here. That's going to be the flap that's going to come down. And so again, this is the back piece, and the back piece measures 9 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then we need a bone folder, excuse me. And we are going to score the wrong side on this paper. So if this is the front, I'm going to turn this over and score it 1 inch and at 7 3/8. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so that way when we turn our valleys into mountains, there you go. That's going to be the flap. And this is just allows the envelope to move in the journal. Okay, now for this part, which is going to get glued onto here. Oh, and while we have this here, let's go ahead and measure on that flap. This is 3 3/4, and I want to measure 1 7/8 across, and right somewhere in the middle there, put a little dot, and that's where I'm going to use my hole punch to punch large hole right there for the for this. I don't even know what you call those, the little thing that you wrap the little twine around. Okay, and then with this is a 3/4 inch punch. I'm just going to mark the center of it, and I'm also going to punch a hole in the middle of that. I do have my smaller hole punch, my handheld one here. There we go. And now in order to get that string in there, what I have is 10 inches of embroidery floss, and I have 4 of the strands in there. I'm going to put this in the hole, and I'm going to hold both ends down. I'm holding on to them. Place that on there and get me a silver eyelet like that. Let me fix my Crocodile Big Bite here. And I'm going to put that eyelet on there. Okay, put this on the table where you can't see it, sorry. So I just set the eyelet on there, and all I have to do is turn it over and trim off some of the back there, because we don't need that long. And that's all you have to do for that. Okay, now for this part, and again, this is the front of the envelope. I want the pattern to match the same direction instead of being upside down. So this will be the top. So what I'm going to do there, I'm going to measure, this is 4 3/4. So I'm going to measure 2 3/8. And just put a little notch there and use this to give myself a little thumb notch on that envelope. And plus now it reminds me what the top of the envelope is. And I'm going to score a 1/2 inch border on the remaining 3 sides. You score the right side of this. You score the wrong side of the bottom of the envelope, and you score the right side of the top of the envelope. And I'm doing this so I can really see where I'm headed with my scissors here. Okay, so what we're going to do, remember this is the top notch. We're going to trim off at an angle some of that flap there and here. And for the bottom, we are going to trim off, I have to find the proper score here. We're going to trim off at an angle right at that corner where the 2 scores meet. There you go. And now when I fold it again, that's the way it goes. Now we need to get a hole down here for this. The problem is this has to go far enough down that one of these hole punches won't make it. So if you don't have the Crocodile Big Bite that can punch a hole way down there, or one of those handheld punch holes, I'll show you what else you can do. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is lay this on here where it would go, and where it goes is between the fold here and the fold there, closer to the top though. I lay it down and I measure 1 1/2 inches from the center of this hole straight down, and put a little mark there. And that's where my hole needs to go. Now, again, if you don't have something to do that with, what you can do is take one of these 3/4 inch hole punches and just punch a small circle of foam. Let's see if you can see that. And then glue that on there with E6000 or something very permanent, okay? And then you can put a little dab of E6000 or something permanent and glue it on there. Don't smash, and just let it set overnight, and that'll do the same thing, okay? But since I do have the long reach hole punch, I'm going to go ahead and use it. The benefit of doing it this way, as with the foam, as opposed to putting a hole in it, is with this envelope, when you're putting your papers in here, now you've got the back of that grommet that's kind of interrupting with putting your papers into the envelope. Again, I'm going to mark the center of here so I can find it, and grab me an eyelet. Oops, I've got to put this on there first, then the eyelet. And again, let's see if I can do this on camera this time. I do have a video on how to use the Crocodile Big Bite. Oops. And I will, it's not engaging. Sometimes it happens. There. Sometimes I can't get this all the way forward. It's because I need to raise the arm the rest of the way. The arm was not raised totally up, so it was catching. There we go. Sometimes I like to turn it around and give it another squish to make sure all the little teeth in the bottom are nice and flat. So now we have this. All we have to do is glue these sides and put it together. And I do use liquid glue. This is Scotch Tacky. You just got to take practice to know how much to use so it's not squishing out. All in all, it is cheaper than using those tape runners. Plus, it is an envelope, and we need glue that will dry and not stay sticky. Again, I'm going to lay this on there between my two score lines, a little closer to the top score line. Okay, and then I'm going to add a few binder clips here. There you go, and that's what that envelope looks like. And so we have a series of them here. And as far as decorating, that's up to you. I would not decorate the front of this before punching the hole and putting that on there, because you don't know where that's going to be. You could decorate the back or the front or both, but just remember, as they are rubbing against each other, you don't want embellishments that are going to get caught on these. So be just mindful of where you put your embellishments. That's that. I hope that was helpful for you. Now, to make the cover of this, I cut chipboard. And this is, I'm just going to call this a hinge. It's 1 by 4 inches, and this is 4 inches by, this is like 6, and it should be 6.5. I made mine a little too long, so 6.5 by 4. Do what I say, don't do what I did. And again, 1 by 4 on these. You need 2 pieces of this, one for the front, one for the back, and you need a front and a back of this. And I'll show you how to cover this with paper. So all of those envelopes, I did 2-hole punch, and I just used my hole punch, 2-hole punch for that. But you can, just measure where you want them, maybe create a template so you can get them all punched in the same place, as long as whatever you have can punch through chipboard as well. So here's an example of the chipboard I have for the back cover, and I used double-sided tape, and I made this 1 inch wider and 1 inch longer. I'm just going to give this some creases here to help it fold. I didn't make it too perfect. As you see, I didn't look down when I was doing it. The other thing you need to do is take a pencil and a piece of this chipboard that's the same width as what you are using, and put it up against there and trace a line right there like that. And then we're going to cut these corners off just inside that pencil mark that we just made. I'm going to use the wider. You see, if I can use the wider, I will. Let's see. I think I'll have to use, this is the 1/2 inch. Then I'm using pattern paper to go on the inside like this. I had paper from the kit to do the lining of this, and I cut it the wrong size, and now I don't have any pieces that are big enough. So I found another piece of Julie nutting paper in my stash, and wouldn't you know, the colors just go perfectly with this as well. So I was able to use that to line the cover. Okay, now I have paper pre-cut for this one as well. It's this here. There's some faint writing on it. It's hard to tell which way is up. I think it's this way, but I have a 1/2 inch ATG I'm going to use. Got this one on clearance. I had a 1/4 inch, and then I was at Michael's and saw this on clearance and thought that could come in handy. Okay, so that's the back cover, front cover, front cover. So now what we need to do is make a way to put these together to where this can actually move. So if you have some really wide ribbon, this would work, but even wider yet would be kind of cute. Would, you know, give it more stability. And then glue that on there, or use some heat and bond or something like that to attach that. Something to give this flexibility, and you'll want to go all the way around. I also have this. I hope it's not too wide. I don't think it is. This is some bookbinding cloth tape, and I got mine from a thrift store. Now I'm going to move some things over and take this paper off because this gets messy. Now you can get cloth tape that is has a peel-off lining on it, so it's a sticker. This one is a glue one, so I have to get it wet. That's why I took the paper out of there. I'm just lining this up on the lines on my board here. Now, the fun part is not messing up and moving these when I lay this tape on there. So I'm just kind of practicing here and seeing how wide I want that to go. I want it to go all the way around, so that's 1, 2, and some overlap, so I'm giving myself that much. Okay. Alrighty, here it goes. So I'm going to moisten like half of this with this spray bottle and make sure that's completely covered. I'm giving myself some overhang on the top. I'm trying not to move the covers as I place it. Another thing you can do is a strip of paper with some Mod Podge and Mod Podge it on. You'll notice that I did not put paper backing on this part. That's because it doesn't need it. Now I'm going to let that dry really well, but you see it gives it a flexibility. Here's an example right here. It can bend like that without cracking the chipboard. Now if you don't like the look of that, you can always, once it's done, I still might take some of this really pretty ribbon and put that right down the center of it. I think I may. Okay, now for the next. There you go. So that's the back cover. This is the front cover. Now you could put you could put an eyelet in here on the front if you wish. But what I'm going to do is put these in here, and I'm going to run a ribbon through them to hold them together, and that way it's also adjustable and you can add pages. But if you notice, if I snug all this close together, look how this fans out because it's so fat. So my goal is to put some kind of padding in between here to add thickness to this part, so it's not just fanning out. Alrighty, so these are pretty dry, but I'm not going to be flexing them until tomorrow. And then what I've done is I've taken each one of these envelopes and I've added a strip of white foam that is 3/4, well, it's like 7/8 by 3 3/4. And see, on top of each envelope, and it gives it the buffer it needs so these can have room to move. So that's the bottom. These will go on top, and then that. So I will divide this ribbon in about in half, so I know about half goes through each side I'm just going to tack this in place for a minute while I'm fiddling with it so I know about where half is. This should be enough to thread through. You know, there's many ways of binding this. I like this way because, like I said, I think, you know, if I want to add pages or take pages out, this would be a real handy thing to do. There you go. Now I'm going to think about this for a while, whether I want to, let me see if I do want to or not, put a bow on that, or, yeah, we'll see. Probably. Okay, I have been wanting to do this for some time, so I'm really happy at how it turned out. Now, like I said, these bend open like this. I don't want to stress them too much while it's still drying. And then each of these is a nice little tuck spot, a nice envelope to put a letter, some kind of memorabilia, something for a friend. This would be a great gift for a friend because you could put treasures in each one of these pockets. So adorable. Love it, love it. And because it's not a journal that you're writing in per se, you could go ahead and add more embellishments to this. And we might just think about doing that because we have these luscious flowers. I don't want to put anything here because of the ribbon, but I think I might have to cover that up. Then we need one of these. Now I don't want to use the blue because it's right on top of the blue flower. The green, let's see, oops. Nope, I think it's going to have to be a silver one. Let me hold this for a second and get a little bit extra this. I know that these rhinestones are stickers, but I think they need a little extra help for something like this. And there we have it. So cute! Thank you for watching. Make sure you look in all the links that I have underneath this video, especially for Auntie Vera's blog, her website on how to get the kit while it's available, and any other information that is below. Thank you for watching, and give me a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel.